All right, got to get the important questions out first. And, we're going to get into the appearance on Kennedy tonight. We'll get into your comedy tour. But let's just start it right away. Let's get off it right from the start. Which is the better album? Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, or Too Fast for Love?
Man, I just assumed we would just be discussing that the entire time. It's hard I don't want to pick, since we don't have to pick, but man.
No, you have to pick. That's why I asked the question.
Well, I get that. Too Fast, I'm going to give Too Fast for Love the nod because it's older and punkier and, a little grimier, so I'm going to go with that one. It's just the nod on the end.
Totally agree. And this has been the age-old question between me, Dolph, and Jericho, and even you, LaGreca, which is the better album. And I think you and Jericho give the nod to Shout at the Devil, and me and Dolph give the nod to Too Fast for Love, and I agree with him because it's punkier. So I definitely like it better.
And I get that, but I will say this about Shout at the Devil. Now, Dolph, I'm old, so I remember buying Shout at the Devil at Uncle Tony's stationery with the money I had from my paper route. But, But I think the reason, and it's funny that you say it's more punky, because the reason that I love Shout at the Devil more is because it's more metal. And
right. And I get that. And they're both great, by the way. It's like some of my favorite songs are on there. 10 Seconds of Love, I love that song, and most jukeboxes don't even have it. So I get that. But it's just, I like the sound being different on both, but both I can play all the way through and just enjoy,
So, Dolph, tonight you're going to be on Kennedy. You've been on Kennedy's show before, correct?
Yes, yeah, a bunch of times. And especially now, I'll get a couple more days off here and there, so I'll be kind of bouncing on that show a little more than I have been lately.
Have you always been into politics, or is this something that you just recently got invested in?
It bums me out because I graduated from Kent State with a political science degree and a pre-law minor because I loved politics and one day wanted to become a politician at some point. Well,
you're a wrestler, so you're close.
Yeah, I'm halfway there, yeah. I always have to explain to everyone, I'm like, I've always been into politics, not just since 2016. So I have to let everybody know that it's not just 2 years ago when everybody else I know became experts on politics. But I've always followed it, always enjoyed it, always loved the inner workings of everything. And now, especially now when it's a little crazy to talk about online without getting multiple death threats about questioning things, it's fun for me to go on Kennedy's show on Fox Business and actually be able to have some conversations with intelligent people with different viewpoints.
And it's interesting to me because you just talked about, social media and the hate, and it's always going to be that way when it comes to politics. But it does seem, especially over the last couple of years, that people really have taken a definitive side one way or the other when it comes to politics.
Sure. And it's so weird because I keep asking myself why, and I know that because of social media, there's more interaction. Instead of just, reading the newspaper each day and then talking to someone you see at work, you're just getting this all day long, at home, at night, in bed, every second of the day. So I feel like some people who might be moderates or in the middle or centrists who lean one way and maybe lean some other way on some other issues feel like they're constantly being attacked. So they have to defend their side, and then it just becomes everybody pushing themselves to the side more, feeling like they're doing their part to save whether their party or their situation or what they believe in. And it's sad because we don't have 6 hours to go into it. A two-party system is a bunch of bullcrap. We need to be able to have some other options, not just what the world tells us these two people that we get to pick from. But that's a topic for another time. But there are so many people that are so similar in the middle, but they're afraid to meet on the similarities because they have to protect what everybody's fighting for on each side. So it's kind of sad.
Dolph, with the politics for a second. It's not necessarily where do you find yourself leaning towards, but who are some of the people out there whose opinions you really respect and get you to think in a variety of different ways?
That's a great question. So I found myself about 2 years ago that I was basically only following people that leaned to the right or were hardcore right, and I was just trying to follow some different their different viewpoints. And I realized I was kind of finding myself in this echo chamber where you were just hearing the same thing over and over again, and you start to believe it or agree more. So I went out and made sure I found everything all the way on the left, all the way on the right, things in the middle, Snopes, fact-checking, everything you can imagine. So I really pride myself on, I feel one way, but then I listen to, Ben Shapiro go to the right, and then I listen to Chris Hayes go to the left, and then I take a million different things in between and then try and work it out and give myself what I believe would be an educated answer.
Here with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is going to be on Kennedy on Fox Business tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk about your spot on Kennedy tonight. Do you get to, talk about other things other than politics? You have the comedy tour. Do you feel like you can be yourself in that atmosphere?
It's pretty cool. It makes me a little nervous sometimes because there's so many, I like to have fun. I like to make a few jokes here and there, but also there's some pretty serious, cutthroat, smart people on there. So it makes me a little nervous at first, but I really like that you can, respectfully disagree with people and throw some ideas back and forth. That's the best part of it. And Kennedy's one of the best shows on Fox Business, I think, because it isn't just one point of view. She's, a noted libertarian, and a lot of times when I'm on that panel, there'll be a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, or a combination of any one of those three, and you get all these different viewpoints from people you at least respect or who have done their homework and, have these talking points down and, live their job. So it's nice to be able to agree with someone or disagree with someone and get multiple points of view. But also it's not just politics, because Kennedy show's pretty cool. It'll be about whatever's happening that day in the news. So it leans towards politics, of course, because one, since 2016, that is, half of our agenda for all day long on all news sources. But you actually get, something that happened, anything else that happens in the news that's relevant, you get to talk about. And that's what's really cool about it, because I like to prep by just going through news all day long. But what usually, if it's in New York and I land and it goes, here's what happened while you were flying. And then you got to find out, you got a couple hours to prepare and make it exciting and good TV.
Dolph, you talked about one of the reasons why you like being on her show is because you get to cut jokes. And this kind of brings me to your comedy tour. You do have that comedy tour coming up, the DeeZee comedy tour. When did you realize that you were witty and funny, and what made you want to be a stand-up comedian?
Well, my brother and I used to, constantly do I don't know, it's a long story, but maybe improv stuff, just screwing with my parents on a regular daily basis. If we went to the store to get bread, we came back and my mom was like, "Did you get the bread?" I'm like, "Yeah, I had it." And then, this kid, I guess I kind of hit him with the car door. I don't know. I guess he's okay. And then we would just go into some fake story, just screwing with my parents. And then we just constantly would do that all the time. And now my brother's doing improv 3 nights a week. And when I can get out there, we do it. So we started just screwing with my parents, and now, for the last, I want to say 10, 12 years, I've been just filling up notebooks while I've been on the road, trying out material, watching stand-up specials, watching different actors and different comedians, and wondering why, when they say the same sentence, someone, laughs really hard or doesn't laugh, and it's just been trial and error, and I've been watching forever and studying, and just like with WWE, I don't want to be bad at it. I want to be the best. So I'm constantly rewriting and trying things out. And I wasn't a class clown or anything. I was just someone who just, usually had a pretty witty comeback because I was a little bit smaller than a lot of other people in high school. So I usually had a pretty nice zinger to come back when someone would pick on you or say something.
Well, Dolph, obviously you're funny. The DeeZee Comedy Tour kicks off February 20th in Baltimore, Maryland. And obviously tonight, being on Kennedy on Fox Business at 9 p.m., you're an intelligent guy. But I have to ask you this, Dolph. Do you understand what the word hiatus means?
I do. I don't know that my boss does.
Well, pal, I believe that 48 hours is enough of a hiatus.
To be fair, at least last year I had 3 weeks off. It was, you know what? I was very surprised to be a part of that show at the Rumble because I was preparing for another show afterwards at Stand Up Live in Phoenix. But very happy as always to be any part of a huge WWE production, and actually I got to be a part of a really cool moment with Nia and Randy and Ray. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. So I was very much caught off guard being in that match, but very happy to be a part of it.
Dolph, earlier in the show before you came on, me and Dave were talking about some of the rumors floating out there about you, whether you're staying or going or the status of your contract, blah, blah, blah. But if you were to stick around in the WWE, Dave had said, and I agreed, that you have done so much there already. In a perfect world, if they left it up to you, what would you like to see Dolph Ziggler do? What storyline would you like to get invested in?
That's a great question because fans ask me stuff all the time. They're like, wouldn't it be cool if you were a champ or did this? And I go, I mean, I guess, but it's really more the story. Yeah, so whatever the situation was, it'd be awesome. I just noticed that the Major Brothers are getting a chance, back on TV again. And maybe some people are just getting a shot here and there who normally wouldn't get one. And I was starting to, I actually had, 3 days off to figure some stuff out. And I was wondering if I could help guys like the Major Brothers or Mike Bennett or a couple guys who are just sitting around chomping at the bit in the best shape of their lives, looking to do something, kind of like a misfits crew of guys who, have all the pieces ready to go, but just don't have, management behind them. And maybe someone like me could be a mouthpiece and lead them on, onto greater things and maybe make some kind of a stand of like the guys behind the scenes, up against, the hand-picked guys to be, the stars. And I always wondered if something like that could work. And I mean, that'd be pretty neat, I think.
So kind of like,
I prefer something to that than, just winning a title or something, without, some investment.
So basically you want to see DeeZee's Motley Crue.
Yeah, but I mean, patent pending, it would just be DeeZee Crue, CREW.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's a great idea. And you know what, man? Before you came on, we just talked about the same thing. I'm like, for Dolph just to be a champion, big deal. But what story would you like to see him invested in? And I think that story you just told is great because it's new and it's fresh. Plus, more importantly, it helps young guys get over. Listen, Dolph Ziggler is over. We know who you are. We know you can have the best match of the night on any given night. But it's about giving these guys opportunity. And my question to you is, are you truly one of those guys that likes to help the younger guys out?
I have a ridiculous ego, and I hate not being the best at everything and not constantly having everything revolve around me. But I also live for moments when not just sticking it to the man, but being the guy that could round up the troops, and lead them on to greater things and know that I did my part to help somebody succeed more. So I live for that kind of stuff. When I wrestled at Kent State and I was still wrestling there, I was half of a coach. I would sit in the coach's seat because I would be rooting my team on and doing different things like that. And I feel like I brought that mentality from high school and college to here to where, I mean, it's a ball-busting locker room, but I'm also there, like guys like, like Apollo Crews, who I think could do a million things and could be in such a great position. And I go, how can I help this guy out? What can I do? And any chance I get, I find that kid because I know he's got something and he works hard. So it's like you see that and you gravitate toward those kind of people, and that's why the first couple people that I mentioned are just hardworking guys who are dying for a chance.
Dolph, like in 2019, the world of pro wrestling is so healthy and there's so many options. You seem to be happy with your situation in the WWE right now, but do you ever get like an itchy trigger finger just kind of wondering what life would be like outside the WWE?
Yeah, all the time. Of course, I mean, even if I was 10,000-0 and winning all the time, and the show was about me, I'd wonder, what else was out there, what other things you could do, what other companies, what other ways you can go. It's almost like the old Twilight Zone of the guy giving up his fortune to go, can I do this again if I had a second chance in doing something different? Could I rebuild this fortune? Am I that good? Can I push myself? And I think about that every single day. So, I mean, that is always something that I'm thinking of. And, am I doing good enough? Am I pushing myself hard enough? If I wasn't here and didn't have this TV time, would I still be as good as I say I am? And, you want to check that out, and you think about it all the time.
Dolph, we've heard rumors in the past about, like, you wanting to leave, but then making it very difficult for you to leave, and in a good way, financially, and, God bless you for that. At this point, Do you feel like you need a break? Do you want a break? Do you want to go do your political thing and your comedy thing and then come back to the WWE? Or do you feel like you just need a break from WWE?
It's it's a little bit of both. I love the fact that I'm a psycho about like sitting at home. So if I'm asking for a hiatus or time off, it's not to sit in my backyard and sip pina coladas. It'd be more of whiskey anyway. But it's just that I want to do some other things, and I have these opportunities because WWE to go to these comedy shows. And like I said, there's 10 that I just have listed now on this first leg of the tour. But we're in the process. There's maybe 30 more coming up because of the popularity of it. So I would much prefer to never have a day off and be at home and do that loop with WWE Friday through Tuesday, and then Wednesday or Thursday go to a comedy show and then go right back to work. But at some point after, I want to say as Dolph, probably 8 or 9 years without really any time off. Even I shot a movie for 5 weeks, and we still did updates from me while I was doing that movie, not being on TV, and we filmed a scene of the movie at a live event that I filmed the scene of, and then wrestled on the show. So it's like I never ever went away. I never had an injury. I never got a shoulder or knee cleaned up to just disappear and come back. Even when I was world champion and I got concussed, I was gone for like 2 weeks, and even then I think we pretended I was at home, like on a phone, sending in video. So I never had the chance of an audience to go, what would it be like if Dolph wasn't here? Oh, it'd be nice to have him back. Never once in all those years. So I was very fortunate, but also that becomes unfortunate at a point to where you shouldn't be so spoiled that you see me every day. You should want to, God, I wish Dolph was here. This would be a great match. It'd be great to see him. And then, be gone for a few months or a year and come back. And, so I don't ever want to miss work, ever for any reason. But I found it to a point where I go, I have to. And the boss has constantly talked me out of it a million times, but for once agrees with me. And so hopefully this all leads to something special to go, oh, it's what a great time it is to have Dolph back. How convenient,
Bully, Dolph may be my new favorite wrestler. I mean, not only is he a metal fan, but he just mentioned one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes of late, I think, of Cliffordville. So right there, Dolph might be my
Oh, my God. I think it is Cliffordville. That's funny.
Yeah, season 4 episode, one of the few 1-hour episodes of the Twilight Zone.
You're getting a little too nerdy with
yeah, Dolph, the news broke yesterday, and it was all over the WWE's Twitter and on WWE.com that Dean Ambrose is done come the end of April. Does that surprise you? Did you see that coming? What did you think when you heard the news about Dean Ambrose?
I think he heard about my hiatus and he was just trying to one-up me. That's what it sounds like.
See, he really is a funny guy.
I'm gone for 20 years. How about that? That's very surprising to me. I don't know too many people who are too close with him to have any insight, and I really wouldn't want to guess anything. But yeah, I did not see that coming. I thought that guy's always got something going on with WWE. He's always in a prominent role, doing something great. He seems beloved by the fans. So, yeah, I did not see that coming.
Dolph,
when I try to move on and do some other stuff, I understand.
Dolph, what I try to explain to Dave and what I try to explain to our listeners is Dean is a unique cat. He definitely marches to the beat of his own drum. Can you elaborate on that a little more and kind of, you've spent probably 10 or some odd years in a locker room with him. Like, how would you describe him personality-wise? What kind of a dude is he?
You make a good call. It's hard to read him sometimes, but I mean, a ridiculously nice guy. He loves the business. He loves wrestling. Definitely does his own thing. And, he's, kind of in his own world a lot. And I'm friends with his wife, Renee. We talk all the time. And but Dean and I mean, if we're putting a match together, we would talk or something. But otherwise, really friendly guy, loves wrestling, loves having a good time, but definitely does his own thing. And maybe he's looking to go do his own thing some more,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And talk about doing your own thing. You do have your tour kicking up in Baltimore, Maryland. Are you excited this time around? And I actually like the cities that you're going to be in and the clubs that you're going to be in. Baltimore, St. Louis, Poughkeepsie, New York, Minnesota, Edmonton, Alberta, Cleveland, Ohio, and Toledo, Ohio. Tell us a little bit about what fans can expect this time around with your tour.
It's really cool, man. We went to Rochester once and tried this out, and the turnout was amazing. And it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, but people are like, oh yeah, I'm surprised you didn't suck. And you go, oh, okay, thanks, man. And it just, everybody, word of mouth caught on, and we had to put a tour together because people were reaching out left and right and reaching out to their comedy clubs. So my friend Sarah Tiana, who is, a headliner around the country, she writes for the Comedy Central Roast. She does a million other things. She's hilarious. She knows all these clubs. She knows the promoters. She knows the owners. She does all the wheelings and dealings and puts these all together and does all the hard work. And the wrestling fans come out in droves, and it is a blast because, one, there's always a meet and greet, and people have their stories or they want to get pictures or get some autograph, on a toy or an action figure or a shirt or anything like that. And that part is really cool because you get a chance to talk to these fans that support you. A lot of them without knowing anything about your comedy or what's going to happen. They have that loyalty from WWE, and I really appreciate it. But the shows are usually great. We always I know a bunch of, wrestling guys that sometimes make some surprise appearances. She's friends with tons of comics that will sometimes make some surprise appearances. So the best part is that you get Sarah, Tiana, and myself, but you never know who else is going to be there, what's going to happen. The show's pretty great. I've gotten up to about 25 minutes of stand-up when I go up, which is freaky because I shouldn't know what the hell I'm doing yet. But I'm getting better each time. But it's been a blast. And then, of course, we end the night with her and I did a roast battle together on Comedy Central, and we wrote a bunch of jokes that didn't make the cut, so we'll constantly kind of roast each other back and forth, and then we do a live Q&A at the end, and everybody can ask any question that they want, and you guys know me pretty well. I'm pretty candid about all the answers, so that's always a nice, pleasing point for people who came to the show.
Dolph, lots of wrestling fans at the show, or you experience a good mixture of your crossover fans who enjoy you for your politics and your comedy?
It's a little bit of both. Of course, there's tons of wrestling fans, which is awesome, but it's not just wrestling fans, which means it is pretty cool that there is this crossover between people who just follow me on Twitter or just saw me on Kennedy's show or just met me in person. And you get comedy fans and you get political fans and you get wrestling fans. So I made sure in my head, I feel them out. I make a couple wrestling jokes off the bat just to see where we are. And sometimes it's half the crowd and sometimes it's, just the front row, and you never know what's going to happen. So I'm always ready with some different material or finding a way to, just to describe, if you don't know anything about wrestling, which a lot of times some people there don't know anything about wrestling, and just explaining our jobs to them is pretty funny already.
So just one more quick question to follow it up. You said you kind of feel them out with a couple of wrestling jokes. Do you approach your comedy like wrestling? And would you say you're more of a call it in the back guy or call it in the ring when it comes to your comedy?
A little bit of both, which is great because I'm still learning. So one day when I get, a couple hundred reps under my belt, I will just feel the entire thing out there or have some closing thing and, know what the finish is and get out there. But as of now being very new, I have several bullet points and several pieces that I got to get to because I'm still working on them. But when I do feel it out, I do a little crowd work and base it on that, and then I'll go a different way or a different direction. So, right now in wrestling, I'm 80-20 where I can call it in the ring. Right now with comedy, I'm 20-80 where, I got some pieces and it's fun to do a little improv, but I gotta get to my points. I'm still working on them for maybe 300 more times.
Well, you definitely want to check it out. The DeeZee Comedy Tour kicks off February 20th in Baltimore, Maryland. And if you didn't get enough Dolph Ziggler in our interview, definitely catch him tonight on Kennedy on Fox Business tonight at 9 p.m. Dolph, it was an absolute pleasure, man. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Good luck with everything.
The next time Dolph comes on, boy, we got to ask him about January 1987. Get his take on that.
What, because you lost your virginity? You want Dolph's opinion on you?
No, about how I felt. Never mind. Dolph, thanks so much for the time, brother.
You got it, guys. Take it easy.